our Special National Conference. I will not repeat everything I just said, but I'm Katie Chick, National President and Presiding Officer over the Special National Conference. It is so wonderful to be together again, and welcome to over 500 collegiate and alumni members who are here for tonight's Special National Conference. Our first order of business is to share a little bit of background of the purpose of this Special National Conference to allow us to settle in and allow some latecomers to join us and allow each of us to get ready for the next 90 minutes of fun. If you haven't already, feel free to put your name, position, and chapter in the chat so we can welcome you from all over the country, and rename yourself so we can see on the screen who all is represented here tonight. If you'd like, you can use the Zoom to rename function to add your preferred pronouns, chapter name, and position, and we invite you to add that to the chat so we get to know each other better. The first time Mortar Board conducted a virtual Special National Conference was April of 2012, and it was a successful meeting for our collegiate members between our summer conferences to kickstart the spring semester. We were the first National Honor Society to conduct such an ambitious program virtually, and that meeting was completely by phone. I remember because I was a section coordinator, and we had over 200 members on a telephone conference without video. I am so grateful to have Zoom tonight and encourage each of you to turn on your camera and engage fully in tonight's programming so we can get to know each other, even though we're calling in from all corners of the United States. We have found that the Special National Conference has been incredibly valuable because it allows our chapters to check in with each other, exchange ideas, and get psyched for the final push of Mortar Board. We thank you for being here and invite you to be active for the next 90 minutes of programming. So now on to the official business. I now officially convene the Special National Conference of Mortar Board's National Collegiate Senior Honor Society. As an organization, we've always been on the cutting edge of change and committed to ensuring that you, our collegiate members, have the ultimate voice in governing and leading our society into the future. The Special National Conference is one of the most important opportunities for you to exercise that right as our governing body. And so we hope that the program we've put together is both engaging and meaningful for each of you today. Now I'd love to turn the floor over to Dr. Kirsten Fox, our Executive Director, for some introductions and instructions.
Good afternoon or good evening, everyone, depending on where you are Zooming in from. And let me echo Katie and welcome you to tonight's Special National Conference. Likewise, it is very wonderful to see some familiar names and many faces. We got to see many of you in Little Rock this summer, and I've chatted via Zoom with a lot of you as well. So it's great to have chapter members from over 80 campuses. We are represented from Vermont to Hawaii, Washington State to Florida, Texas to North Dakota. So as Katie mentioned, we truly have every corner of the United States covered in our Special National Conference tonight. And we are joined not only by our chapters, but many other Mortar Board constituents. As I introduce our various groups, because while I would love to have everybody introduce themselves, we only have an hour and a half, and I know everyone has places to be. Could you please let us know you're here by putting your name, role, and institution where you were initiated into the chat at the time that I call your constituent group. You can also use an emoji to put a high five or a thumbs up or a celebration as well. So first, I'd love to introduce and welcome our members of National Council who have joined us this evening. And later, you will be voting for candidates slated for 3 positions on the National Council. We are also joined by many members of our Board of Trustees for the National Foundation, and we're very excited to have them here with us tonight. You'll hear a little bit more about the fellowship program that they sponsor later as well. They probably need no introduction, but we are also joined by the majority of our section coordinators, whom all of our chapters know because you work with our SCs, and our section coordinators truly put in by blood, sweat, and tears with all of our chapters, especially as selection season is upon us. So we have 6 regions from across the country, and our SCs serve as a liaison between the national office and our chapters. And we'll be breaking out into sections here in a moment. In addition to our council trustees and SCs. We are joined by other committees and national leaders on our standing committees who are here, as well as other volunteers who do some great work to support our society. Could you also please introduce yourself in the chat and share your name, position, and institution where you were initiated? In addition, we are joined by several alumni members. Again, some who are slated for those positions of National Council. And definitely not last but least are our advisors. Our advisors are the backbone of our chapters. Our advisors provide support at both the local level, but also make sure that our national society has been sustained into our second century. And we are thrilled to have so many advisors joining us for this special national conference. We invite you to also introduce yourself in the chat. And finally, I'm thrilled to introduce our team in the national office. They have done so much to make today happen. Their hard work and efforts behind the scenes have made today possible. You'll have the chance to hear from Ben Flox, our new, as of just mid-November, manager for membership and operations, as well as Kara Lisenby, who is our director of engagement. We are also joined by Francie Kaufman, our senior executive assistant of all things in our office. Most of you know Francie because she is the friendly voice and kind smile at the other end of all of the mortarboard phones and emails. Both Ellen O'Neill and Lexi Beer helped tonight with our marketing and publications. And we have a brand new staff member with us tonight as well. And although she doesn't officially start until February 1st, all of our chapters and advisors will get to know her. Trish Maxwell is our new director of chapter development and collegiate operations, and we cannot wait to have her officially on board and help to provide even more support to all of our collegiate members, advisors, and chapters. So National Office, I also ask that you introduce yourselves in the chat. And then most importantly, our collegiate members. So thank you for joining us this evening. As a reminder, for those of you that may have joined a little late, please rename yourself with your name, pronouns, and institution. And a few housekeeping notes. As you heard, we are recording this meeting and we'll share the recording link out so you can further share it with your chapters. We have also enabled closed captioning. You will need to go down in your menu of options if you have not and you need the closed captioning. You can go down and then activate the captions so that you are able to read along as we continue with our presentation tonight. And most importantly, we have a lot of members, we have a lot of business, but we have a lot of things that we want to make sure you participate in as well. So please participate throughout the course of tonight's business. You can always request to speak by raising your hand, using the icon button beside your name, but also use the chat, use emojis, congratulate others. Don't be shy. And if you need any technical support, you can use the chat. So with that, just really quickly want to go over the agenda. You can see we've done the introduction. We are next going to break out into breakout rooms here in a minute by region, and we'll put a slide up that shows not only the region, but the states and your section coordinator so everyone can join the correct region. We will hear from all of our standing committees: diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, strategic plan, our governance committee, an update on resolutions and recommendations from summer conference. So many of you will remember those and they'll reappear. And then a standing nominations committee report, which will lead into our election of officers for National Council. We will pause to take a quick Zoom group photo because we have to do that. And then you're going to hear a little bit more about what to hear about this spring, what's around the corner, other important things we want to make sure that you know. And then last but not least, we will get a great charge from our national president, Katie Chick, to guide us and lead us through the rest of this academic year. And then at the conclusion, voting for our officers will open. So with that, I really would love to turn it back over to Katie. Thank you, Katie, for presiding. I yield the floor back to you.
Thank you so much, Kirsten. I really appreciate it. And it was so wonderful seeing everyone's name come up and their role in mortarboard as you were introducing yourself in the chat. please keep up the engagement as we go throughout tonight's session. So as we split into our breakout rooms, I want to share what we're hoping to accomplish. As Kirsten mentioned, we are going to use the time to talk about the tradition of tapping. Mortarboard at 105 years old has many traditions, but few are so special as tapping. Tapping dates back to the very first year as a national society when Cornell brought their tradition of tapping new members in the middle of the night. Chapter members were dressed entirely in black, complete with hoods covering all but their eyes, and surrounded a bed of selected members. While that would not be the best tradition today, and I think I would personally be frightened if that happened, the tradition of public tapping has evolved over the century with unique methods and meaningful traditions, many that are important on the campuses you serve today. You are on today. Many chapters pass items such as flowers or candles to new members. Some chapters have current members still dressed in black, and others still tap members in a public place among peers, classrooms, student organization meetings, sports practices. While other campuses send members a message asking them to meet at a special place on campus for tapping and orientation. Some of the most vivid members our alumni members have is how they were tapped into Mortarboard, and often at alumni events we'll swap stories. Mine was in my choir class at Hood College in Kaufman Hall. As we enter selection season, we want to both share more and learning from each other. And we've created a room for each region, so please join your region for a great discussion on tapping. This is also an incredible opportunity to get to know other members. And if you're not sure how tapping works on your campus, or if the tradition has not continued as well as it has on others, don't be afraid. You can create a new tradition this year and lead the charge on your campus. So national leaders and alumni, feel free to join the region for your alma mater or the region where you currently live to join in on the fun and maybe share some of your own traditions. Hope you have a great discussion, and we'll see you back in the room in about 20 minutes. To me, sometimes with Zoom. Well, welcome back, everyone. I hope that you had a great discussion. You might have come back in and heard where Craig, our foundation president, was tapped, or Kirsten and her class that she would have maybe not remembered as much had it not been for Mortarboard. And hopefully you all will make those special memories for your new recruits this year and maybe have some of your own. So hope you had a great time engaging with your section, getting to know other collegiate members and some alumni who have joined. Thank you, section coordinators, for facilitating what I know is a great discussion. And so now, as Kirsten mentioned, we'd love to have each standing committee provide you with an update on what they've been working on this year, beginning with our standing Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging Committee. And so I'm so excited to invite our chair, Candy Hironaka-Pitts, to provide an update. Candy, thanks for kicking us off.
Yes, hi everybody. And I just wanted to let you know, I'm coming to you from Meridian, Idaho, which is right outside Boise. Implicit in Mortarboard's purpose is an emphasis on the dignity and worth of every person. The purpose urges our society to promote equal opportunities among all peoples, to contribute to the self-awareness of our members, and to establish the opportunity for a meaningful exchange of ideas as individuals and as a group. I think in today's culture, it's really more important than ever that these tenets are something that we uphold. As a society, we continue to emphasize the importance of advocating and supporting all of our members. Now, many of you may have seen the I Am Mortarboard video that we're about to play. It exemplifies our commitment to foster a community where all are welcome to show up as their true selves. And I really encourage anyone out there to submit additional videos. We'd love to have more put in, and so the video becomes something that's much longer than the 3 minutes. So enjoy the video, and I'll be back.
I am a dancer, I am a student, I'm a mentor. I am Mortarboard.
a dancer. I am a student. I'm a scientist. I am mortarboard.
Vedant Kulkarni. I am an international student. I am an immigrant. I am a person of color. And I am mortarboard.
Thank you very much. So like I said, I encourage more people to submit little pieces that we can add to this video. Highlights for this year include reimagining DEI and adding the B, belonging. Brianna Keaton and student member Tamika Lovelace brought forward the idea of focusing on the outcome of belonging. It is our goal that our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion and the steps taken will create the desired result of belonging. DEI is a formula to make sure all of our members feel a sense of belonging within their chapter and society. To mortarboard, the B is also very important, and we really hope all of our members feel like they belong. Remember, in mortarboard, members do belong. We invite you to submit your own stories and add to the tapestry of mortarboard, belonging, and the experiences represented here. Our committee would also like you to invite you to a session that the DEI and B committee is hosting during Mortarboard Week. The tenets of leadership, equity, and diversity are more than a trend. This will be on January 13th to Monday at 7:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it's going to be presented by the Alumni Achievement Award winner, Dr. Leanne Salazar Montoya. And we remind chapters who are doing the important work around DEI and B to submit for recognition during the award process. And it's going to be open early in March for those submissions. And last but not least, I really want to give my heartfelt thanks to our really very active DEI and B committee members. They have been workhorses for the last couple of years. These members are collegiate member Tamika Lovelace at San Diego State University, National Treasurer Brianna Keaton, Section Coordinator Gabby Going, former chapter president and student representative in the National Council, Keila Miner, and student coordinator Vedant Kulkarni, as well as our national president, Katie Chick, and executive director, Kirsten Fox. They have done such phenomenal work, and I want to thank them so much. And now I yield the floor to President-elect Cassandra Lucas, who will give us an update on the work of our strategic plan.
Hi, everyone. I'm Cassandra Lucas, President-elect, and I am speaking with you from Phoenix, Arizona, where we have no snow, at least in Phoenix. So there is up north and not in Flagstaff in north of the state. So I'm excited to be here tonight to talk with you a little bit about our strategic plan. We are in year 2 of a 3-year strategic plan, which you can see here on the screen, and which has focused on 3 transformational imperatives and 4 overarching goals. This year, we are focused on 1 strategy in each goal. So under our branding of Mortarboard to promote our transformational imperatives, we look to create and celebrate our history. Under achieve and maintain financial stability, we look to increase our collegiate members. Incorporating our values of diversity, equity, inclusion, which you just heard Candy talk about, into every aspect of Mortarboard, we really are focused on using DEI as a foundation for programming. And then finally, as we look to ensure Mortarboard's impact, we are looking to review and implement effective advising models at every chapter. So under this year's strategies, we have made some progress and look forward to doing so more for the rest of the year, which includes reviewing the format of our historian reports, establishing a working group that will be focused on membership, producing tools and support for DEI programming at our national and chapter levels, and initiation discussions on best practices in advising and advising models. So we look forward again to providing another update at our national conference this summer and all the exciting work that we'll continue to do across our strategic plan. I now yield the floor to Dr. Kirsten Hawley, Chair of the Standing Governance Committee, and Brendan Wall, member of the Standing Governance Committee and Section Coordinator for Region 4, to give us a Governance Committee report.
Good evening. Last year, the delegation at the Special National Conference voted to approve 3 changes to the bylaws, incorporating inclusive language into the bylaws and change pronouns to they and them, to have the national president sit as an ex officio member on the Foundation Board of Trustees, and finally to separate the secretary and treasurer positions into 2 distinct roles.
However, this year we did not receive any recommendations or proposed changes to our national bylaws. The committee encourages each member to familiarize yourselves with our national bylaws and to submit any recommended changes by May 15th for consideration at this year's national conference. We will put the link to both the bylaws and the form for proposed changes into the chat.
As we look to elevate the student voice, we will be looking for new student members to serve on the Standing Governance Committee. If you are interested in being considered, please notify the national office by email at mortarboard@mortarboard.org or put your name and email in the chat.
Thank you so much, Dr. Holly and Brendan and the Governance Committee. One of my most important goals as National President is to do my part in elevating the student voice. And it's so important that we find every opportunity to do that. Your committee has been leading the charge with that. Thank you so much. Now, I'd like to update our membership on the recommendations and resolutions that our conference committee presented at the end of our national conference in Little Rock, Arkansas this past August. The National Council has reviewed these resolutions and recommendations, which are on screen, as a reminder of what the delegation recommended. As a reminder, according to Article 5, Section 1.6 of our national bylaws, linked in the chat, resolutions are the society's formal statement of philosophy or its deliberate choice of action and are effective for the next 2 years. Resolutions are looked to by the society for organizational direction and by chapters for programming direction. Conference recommendations are items suggested for the society's leadership or chapters to consider. On resolution number 1, I'm pleased to share that the Standing Nominations Committee has taken the recommendations that chapters undertake efforts to appoint more diverse national leaders and advisors to heart in their selection of this year's slate for candidates to the National Council. I charge each chapter to continue to remember this as you engage in recruitment and selection at your local level and to secure your advising teams for next year's chapters as well. Resolution number 2. Sorry, I'm pleased to share that sorry, give me 1 second. I'm not in my home state, so things are a little bit off kilter for me. So resolution number 2, which is the resolution encouraging us to allow us to select students of the junior class who satisfy chapter selection guidelines. I'm pleased to announce that I have appointed Nathan Cordell, who you'll hear from later today, who is slated for president-elect to chair a committee to look at the definition of membership for Mortar Board to address this issue and other issues which have not been reviewed in many years of who is eligible for membership in Mortar Board. So we'll be giving an update as that committee gets to work and selects members to join that conversation. Resolution number 3, on the recommendation to reduce our carbon footprint, we've made strides in this area and will continue to examine all of our practices as a national office and leadership team. At this point, we don't have the capacity to create an ad hoc committee formally. However, the national office has reduced our number of mailers and printed forum magazines that both increase access to our materials for members electronically while reducing our carbon footprint. And we'll consider this charge as we plan for travel this year and for our next in-person Harrison Conference in 2024. We appreciate the passion in this area and encourage any chapters who are doing programming to share ideas with us for other chapters to replicate on their campuses. And resolution number 4, the last resolution, is one that each of you can carry out this spring, which is ensuring a successful transition of executive boards. Your section coordinators in the national office is here to support you with the addition of chapter operation sessions on transition and onboarding as a shared goal to ensure successful transition for next year's chapters. Thank you again to each member who contributed to these resolutions and recommendations, many who I see on the call tonight at the conference this year. Ensuring our collegiate members have a voice continues to be a goal of not only mine, but the whole National Council. I now call on our Standing Nominations Committee and immediate past president, Gail Harrison Corvette, to place into nomination the slate for our National Council offices.
Thank you, Katie. Hello, everyone. In the Guide to Governance, you can see that the Standing Nominations Committee has been very busy. I thank the members of our committee, past President Abby Deal, Lynn Hendrickson, and our student members, Michaela Hart, a collegiate member from Texas Tech, and Annie Mashia, a collegiate member from the University of South Alabama. I'd like to ask Michaela and Annie to give the report of the Standing Nominations Committee and introduce the nominees for National Council.
Thank you, Gail. Mortarboard is fortunate to have many talented leaders to enter into nomination. The Standing Nominations Committee has slated for a 2-year term on the National Council. Alumni Representative at Large, Wilson Chan, initiated at the University of Louisville. Treasurer, Brianna Keaton, is initiated at Washington State University, and President-elect Nathan Cordell, initiated at the University of Alabama.
Each candidate will provide brief remarks around their interest in serving on the National Council. Each statement will be followed with the opportunity to ask questions. You can also learn more about them in the Guide to Governance on page 6 and 7. Our first candidate is Wilson Chan, who is slated for the position of Alumni Representative at Large. This is a 2-year term and eligible for re-election. Wilson currently serves as the section coordinator for Region 2. More information about Wilson can be found on the slide and in the Guide to Governance. At this time, I would like Wilson to give his 2-minute speech.
Good evening. Hello, chapter delegates. My name is Wilson Chan, alumnus from the Palace chapter at the University of Louisville. The position of Alumni Representative at Large is all about serving as a liaison, both to the Mortarboard alumni members and its collegiate chapters. So a little bit about myself. For the past 2.5 years, I had the privilege to serve as a section coordinator for collegiate chapters in Section 4 and most recently for chapters in Region 2. As section coordinator, I have learned so much through the interaction for each of the chapter leaderships, its advisor, along with activities and projects at your campuses. I also had the opportunity to visit a few collegiate chapters in person as well. So with the role of Alumni Representative at Large, I hope to leverage my experience as an engaged alumnus at my alma mater to serve both Mortarboard National Council and most importantly to all of you at our collegiate chapters. I intend to work with the national office to engage Mortarboard alumni in philanthropy, social, and professional networking. In addition, I would like to encourage our Mortarboard alumni to return to their collegiate campus in supporting Mortarboard chapters with their annual programming, which includes community service and also initiation ceremony. Lastly, it is my sincere desire to continue exemplifying and promoting the ideals of Mortarboard in scholarship, leadership, and service, and with DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, which enable Mortarboard as both a premier national college honor society and also a lifetime experience. In conclusion, I'm humbled to accept the nomination as your Alumni Representative at Large, and I ask for your vote and support. Thank you.
Thank you, Wilson. I would now like to open the floor for any questions for Wilson. Please raise your hand as we will call on you.
Caleb, I had a question that it looks like it just came private to me instead of to everyone. Asking, could you share an idea of how chapter members can better connect with alumni members of their school, especially if they don't live in the same area?
Absolutely. I think the opportunity to engage with alumni is a very positive move for any collegiate members, because I think alumni in general, for Mortarboard alumni, wants to help, they want to give back. So with connecting with the national office have an opportunity to share a list of alumni based on their residence address, which can be secure. You just have to be submit some sort of a communication to the national office to do so. But my intention is, through my working with the national office, hopefully we can get this process more formalized so that it will be much easier for the members to get access to it, or even alumni to do networking, to another Mortarboard alumni in their respective city and community.
Well, if there are no other questions, thank you so much, Wilson. Let us continue with our second candidate. Slated for treasurer is Bree Keaton. Bree Keaton, a former section coordinator, started her time on National Council as secretary treasurer in 2021. She transitioned into the role of treasurer at last year's special national conference, following the bylaws change to separate secretary and treasurer into two roles. You can read more about Bree on the slide and in the National Guide to Governance. At this time, I would like Bree to present her 2-minute speech.
Good evening, my fellow Mortarboards and chapter delegates. My name is Brianna Keaton, and I'm currently serving as the National Treasurer for Mortarboard National Council. Now, I want to apologize in advance. I'm experiencing some technical difficulties with a lot of pause breaks in between, so hopefully y'all can hear me clearly. But ultimately, I am so excited to be slated as the treasurer for the National Council. Now, if you did take a look at the SNC Guides to Governance, you'd probably say, okay, her experience is in fitness and wellness. Why is she wanting to be a treasurer? What is your experience there? And so I want to expand on that. First and foremost, I joined Mortarboard in 2013. And when I joined, my goal was to be the treasurer. And I had an advisor that said, girl, you're going to be the president. I was like, all right, let's do it. And so it was really fun to step into that leadership role. But the treasurer and I were very close, and I'm really good with numbers. And so that was one of the things that I enjoyed so very much about being in that role as an undergrad. And when I kept moving up as far as, my volunteerism through Mortarboard, stepping into the Section 4 coordinator position and, becoming the National Council Secretary Treasurer for 2021 to 2022, I really just kept focusing on that side because of my experience in my career. So being at, Red Rocks Community College and LSU, we have to oversee these multi-million-dollar facilities and overseeing anywhere from $350,000 to $500,000 operating as well as programming budgets. And so my attention to detail and focusing on where can we expand in revenue, where are our revenue sources, and what are we expending? Can we be more fiscally responsible and good stewards of the students' funds? And so that's something that I've always found as an interest to me, and something that I want to continue to provide service to within Mortarboard. And so I'm so excited to be slated again for this position, and I really hope that I can earn your vote. So thank you so very much, and I hope y'all are enjoying the conference.
I would now like to open the floor to any questions for Bree. Please raise your hand and we will call on you. I actually got a question over Zoom that I will ask. So question for Bree, Might Mortar Board offer a program for students on financial wellness? As we prepare to graduate and have jobs or grad school debt, I am sure we could use the help.
Absolutely. You know what? Craig Evers, he is a part of the Mortarboard National Foundation, and I look up to him, I'm gonna be honest. I tell him this on the side all the time, but it's one of those things that I think that if we put all of our heads together, we really can put together something like a webinar or even a seminar where you can be a little bit more involved in understanding financial wellness overall. So it doesn't necessarily just have to focus on the big numbers, but we can focus on how do I apply this to my own life as it relates to becoming a post-baccalaureate student, if I'm going to graduate school, if I'm, choosing not to go to grad school, and maybe I'm stepping right into my career, what can I do for myself? And I think that that's an area, of opportunity that we can look into together. And so I bring up Craig because he's just the mastermind of numbers, and I definitely want to pull him into that conversation as well. But I think that's a great idea and one thing that I will put on the top of my list for sure.
And then Amy put in the chat, how much do you love not being secretary anymore?
So as you all can see, this position actually used to be secretary and treasurer, it used to be together. And when I was recommended into this position, the secretary portion was the portion I did not enjoy the most, to be honest, when it just comes down to all of the typing. So I'm a numbers person. And so Amy, she is our National Council Secretary, and I am so grateful that she is in that role. One, because she is awesome, and she has so much experience in that. But two, it allows for me to focus more so on the treasurer side. So Amy, you are the best.
If anyone has any questions, put it in the chat or raise your hand. But I don't see any right now from Caleb.
Thank you, Bree. Our final candidate is going to be Nathan Cordell, slated for president-elect. As you can see on the slide and in the Guide to Governance, Nathan's history with Mortar Board's leadership is substantial, most recently serving as alumni representative at large. Now, the president-elect term is 2 years, followed by 2 years as president, and then 2 years as past president, for a total of 6-year commitment. At this time, I invite Nathan to provide brief remarks regarding the position.
Oh, Nathan, I don't think we can hear you. Is it just me? Can other people hear Nathan?
No, but Nathan's so awesome. He doesn't, he just exudes. Bear with us just a moment.
It's a good time. We're about an hour in. It's a good time to do your quick mortarboard stretch. Maybe Gail could lead us in some chair yoga poses. For those who don't know, past President Gail Harrison Corvette is also a certified yoga instructor. And I won't say which one, but I once spotted her on a reality television show teaching yoga.
Yes, you did.
Well, also, if anyone wants to throw anything in the chat or share something they heard about tapping, now's a good time too, while we have a minute for Nathan to get sound back on. Unless you're back with us. Nathan, are you back with us? I see the yellow box. Or is that just me? Yeah, we need a link to that episode of the reality TV show is really what I think Student Representative Margaret is saying.
No, I don't want to necessarily tell anybody what I was watching. It was while I was home with COVID. I should share that.
Can I just request that we have a national council viewing of whatever this show was?
Goodness. So Nathan, are you ready to go so we can stop talking about the reality show?
Although can y'all hear me?
There, yay.
Yeah, my MacBook decided to go on the fritz and update Zoom, so I had to pull out my ThinkPad, my work laptop, and restart Zoom, so I apologize. All right, if everybody can hear me, I will give my comments real quick. Good evening, Mortarboard collegiate leaders, advisors, national leaders, and alumni. My name is Nathan Cordell, and I'm slated as a candidate for president-elect for the National Council of our esteemed Mortarboard National College Senior Honor Society. A little background on me. I'm a lawyer by trade. I practice law with a large regional law firm in the southeastern United States. I'm also the immediate past chairman of my local Chamber of Commerce, and I serve as general counsel for 2 nonprofit boards in my community, including a local nonprofit community health clinic and an autism awareness organization that I'm especially proud of serving. As mentioned in tonight's meeting and in the Guide to Governance, my involvement with Mortarboard stretches beyond the last decade. I was tapped into the Hypatia chapter at the University of Alabama in 2011. And during my collegiate tenure, I served as treasurer of my chapter, during which time we began a process to establish a chapter endowment that was successfully established and created at the university. After graduation and law school, I remained involved with Mortarboard as a conference assistant, committee member on several committees, including the governance and DEI committees, a section coordinator for sections 4, 5, and 6 for the 5 years before transitioning onto National Council as alumni representative at large. Tonight, I am reminded of the profound words of the torch. The God of great endeavor gave me a torch to bear. I lifted it high above me in the dark and murky air. And straightway, with loud hosannas, the crowd proclaimed its light and followed me as I carried my torch through the starless night. Till drunk with the people's praises and mad with vanity, I forgot 'twas the torch that they followed and fancied they followed me. Then slowly my arm grew weary, upholding the shining load, and my feet went stumbling over the dusty road. And I fell with the torch beneath me. In a moment, the light was out, when lo, from the throng, a stripling sprang forth with a mighty shout. Sorry, y'all, I get a little emotional when I read this. Caught up the torch as it smoldered and lifted it high and tall, till fanned by the winds of heaven, it fired the souls of all. As I lay in the darkness, the feet of the trampling crowd passed over and far beyond me. Its paeans proclaimed aloud, and I learned in the deepening twilight the glorious verity 'twas the torch that the people follow, whoever the bearer may be. One of my favorite readings of the torch was from a mentor of mine from the University of Alabama, Mrs. Glenda Guyton. Hearing her read the torch brought tears to my eyes every time I would ever hear her read those powerful words at national conference or at our tapping and installation initiations at the university, and instilled within me a desire to always carry the torch forward for the society. In 2018, Mortarboard celebrated its centennial, 100 years of scholarship, leadership, and service. In 2019, the year following our society's centennial celebration, we met in Little Rock, Arkansas for our annual conference. The one moment I took away from that long weekend in Little Rock was a statement made by Madam President Katie Chick: be the spark that reignites the torch for another 100 years. And I took my memories of hearing Glenda recite the torch, along with Katie's charge to be the spark, to continue carrying that torch and the ideals of Mortarboard forward. That is why I'm seeking the nomination as your president-elect, to be the spark and to carry the torch, to serve the society, our alumni, our national leaders, and you, the lifeblood of our society, our collegiate members, to promote equal opportunities among all peoples and a commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, to emphasize the advancement of the status of women, to support the ideals of the college or university, to advance the spirit of scholarship, to recognize and encourage leadership, to provide service, to contribute to the self-awareness of our members, and to establish the opportunity for a meaningful exchange of ideas as individuals and as a group. I know that I have big shoes to fill from the great leaders who have come before me, including many great friends and mentors, many of whom are on this call. I am humbled and greatly appreciate the opportunity to be nominated as your president-elect, and I look forward to the opportunity to serve you, the society, and to uphold the ideals of Mortarboard and to ensure the legacy of Mortarboard for the next 100 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Nathan. I agree with Katie. That was a beautiful reading of the torch. So I would now like to open up the floor for any questions that anyone may have for Nathan. Please raise your hand as we will call on you. I just had a question come in. So people have asked, this is a 6-year commitment. How will you maintain your energy for those 6 years?
The great thing about it is I come after several wonderful leaders that I can lean on, and I'm excited about that. I have built friendships with not only Gail, but Katie and Cass, and I know that they will be there in the wings for me when I need that push and that piece of advice. So I will lean on the advice and guidance and counsel of people who have come before me, including Dr. Kathy Randall and Susan Caples, both from the University of Alabama, to advise and push me forward to keep my energy up. And I look forward to the full 6-year commitment.
Thank you.
Well, if there are no other questions for Nathan, voting for the candidates will begin before the end of tonight's conference and continue through Wednesday, January 25th. An online link will be shared in the chat and again via email following tonight's special national conference. Each chapter eligible to vote may cast 1 vote. I yield the floor back to you, Katie.
Well, thank you so much. Nathan, reading the torch is my favorite part of any national mortar board conference. And I think this may be one of the first times we've done it on the special national conference. So thank you for that. The emotion you had touched my heart. And so I appreciate that. Wilson, Bree, and Nathan, I'm so happy that you are slated. Nominations committee, you've done an amazing job. And Annie and Michaela, thank you for continuing on our standing committee after a really interesting and exciting nominations committee experience this summer. It is so great having the student voice. Gail, thank you for leading the charge, and other members who couldn't be with us tonight. We are just appreciative of your work on the nominations committee.
And I would just like to add a plug. If you would like to work with McCaleb and Annie again, please apply to be student representative at large, and we will include you in the interview process that we will do before the national conference.
Thank you, Gail, so much. So the ballot for this election will be part of the online ballot that official delegates will cast on behalf of their chapters. Each chapter eligible to vote may cast 1 vote, which again should be cast by your chapter's official delegate. And please make sure your voice is heard and cast your ballot. We want each chapter to have a say in who governs our society. Certifying the ballots is an especially important job in which we would like to create a committee of tellers to help us complete. Tellers are collegiate members who agree to review the ballots cast and report to the National Council. This will be done on a Zoom meeting under the advisement of Mortar Board Executive Director Kirsten Fox. And if you're interested, please acknowledge your interest in the chat. Please write your name, email, and chapter, as Kara mentioned just a moment ago. We request that we get at least 4 volunteers to complete this task, and interested members will receive an email early next week with further instructions and a request for a meeting. We all know how important it is to certify the vote. At this time, I would like to yield the floor back to our Executive Director, Kirsten Fox, to share more about national programming updates and what to expect this spring. And as a reminder, please put your interest as you have it to be a teller. It's about an hour or 2 commitment. So please get involved in this way to certify the vote.
Great. Well, thank you, Katie. Again, yes, please, we need 4 to 6 tellers. I'm going to give you one more opportunity. Actually, you'll get an email if you don't do it now, but please put your name and institution in the chat so that we can include you. As Katie mentioned, it's only about an hour and a half of your time, but it's a really important role because as a student governed society, and if anybody was watching any of the history at the beginning of the slideshow, decisions are made by the students. And even though the candidates were slated, it is still really important to have the student input. And then also the students verify the votes and present it back to the National Council. So it's a low involvement, but high kind of reward in the sense that it also gives you the opportunity to get some national exposure from the National Council. So I'll let you think about it and put it in, and you get to work with me. And I promise I will try to make it interesting and fun in the process. But that being said, moving on, I see some names coming in. That's great. Maybe I shouldn't have said you were working with me. I think those came in before then, but hopefully that doesn't turn anyone away. Also coming up is Mortarboard Week. As you know, Mortarboard was founded on February 15th, 1918. So we will be celebrating our 105th birthday this year. Mortarboard Week was founded at a national conference by student delegates as a way to have chapters get their name out more on their own campuses. So it really started with each campus doing their own Mortarboard Week events. And we know that many of you already have great plans in the work for Mortarboard Week. We also know, however, it's been really hard after a global pandemic in general to get some of the programming moving forward. And so while we definitely encourage you to continue to get your name out and do great Mortarboard Week events on campus, we also have the opportunity to leverage technology and host some great Mortarboard Weeks as well, Mortarboard Week events as well. So while tonight is officially a business meeting and you're hearing many of us kind of talk, Mortarboard Week is really an opportunity for engagement. As Candy already mentioned, on that Monday, February 13th, and that was probably my fault. I put the wrong date in, so full disclosure, that was me. But on Monday, February 13th, Dr. Leanne Salazar-Montoya will present on the tenets of leadership, equity, and diversity are more than a trend, and our DEI and BEAT committee will then sponsor a discussion afterward. We know our campuses and our chapters are really thinking about diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging as well. And so I'm really looking forward to that event on a national level. On Tuesday, February 14th, some people may be celebrating Valentine's Day, but you can do both. It's also about connecting and finding other people. And so there will be a student networking event on that Tuesday during the daytime hours. So you can still have your evening free, but just a great way to actually engage with other students as opposed to today where you're just seeing them on Zoom. Wednesday, for those of you who are volunteers and advisors and donors, we will be appreciating you on Mortarboard's birthday with a donor and volunteer appreciation event. Thursday is still being in the works, but we'll make sure everyone knows about it when it's finalized. And then Friday will be our advisor appreciation and gathering. So we started our advisor chit chats about a year ago during Mortarboard Week, and they've been a great success. And we're looking forward to our advisors not only coming together to learn from each other and share ideas, but also so we can appreciate them. But spring is really just the most wonderful time of the year. And that's because it is also recruitment and selection season. Can you put an emoji or put in the chat if your chapter has already started the recruitment and selection process? I know I got an update today from one campus who doubled their applications from last year. And congratulations to Longwood University, who again was the first chapter to have submitted their candidate request to our office. So good job to Longwood. And at this time, I'm going to ask Kaylee Weicker, one of our Region 3 section coordinators, to give a quick recruitment and selection update.
Thanks, Kirsten. First and foremost, I hope you will consider joining us tonight after the Special National Conference at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central, 7 Mountain, 6 Pacific, and 4 Hawaiian for our chapter operations session, Membership Part 2, Selection, Tapping, and Initiation. This will be a great time to ask any questions you have about the selection season. The link and meeting information is going to be placed in the chat. Last November, we held our first ever national virtual initiation, and 7 chapters utilized this unique opportunity. The virtual ceremony is offered for chapters who might need a little extra assistance putting on an initiation, and we will be offering this again for spring initiation. This is a great opportunity for our smaller chapters who might not have the people power to put on a full initiation ceremony by themselves. The date for the virtual initiation will be Sunday, April 16th at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. The date is also in your guide to governance, and more information will be emailed to chapters as the date grows closer. But feel free to let one of your section coordinators or the national office know if you have interest in the ceremony or any questions about it. At this time, I would like to turn it over to one of my fellow section coordinators for Region 5, Katie Sasilski, a 2022 Mortarboard Fellowship winner, to tell you more about fellowships and awards.
Thank you, Kaylee. Each year, the Mortarboard Foundation provides over $30,000 in fellowships to mortarboards who will attend graduate school in the next academic year. As a law student at the William S. Boyd School of Law at UNLV, I'm very grateful for this financial recognition and support from Mortarboard. Fellowship applications are currently available on the Mortarboard website and close on March 15th. You do not have to know where you're attending at this point in the process in order to apply. In addition, it's also award season. Mortarboard chapter award submissions are due on April 15th. In addition to that, the Gold and Silver Torch Awards, they also recognize chapter excellence in programming, DEI, and advising. Each year, one chapter is awarded the Freeman and Fox Most Improved Chapter Award, and one receives the Ruth Weimer Mount Outstanding Chapter Award. Additionally, each year, 2 outstanding individuals are awarded the Starlington Prize. These students receive a $500 award and a free conference registration to the next annual conference. Students nominate your advisors, advisors nominate your students, and I hope to see all of our chapters submit for chapter recognition. At this time, I yield the floor to Ben Flox, Manager of Membership and Operations in the National Office.
Good evening, everyone. While I have not yet had the chance to meet many of you, you will be hearing from me coming very soon, as I am the National Office team member who you'll be communicating with during the CR process from selection through initiation, and I look forward to working with all of you. In addition, along with Francie Kaufman, our executive assistant in the National Office, I will help you with all of your graduation regalia needs. As a reminder, the Mortarboard store offers stoles, cords, medallions, a bunch of stuff for graduation. We also sell diploma frames, so tell your parents, tell your friends. You can find the link to our store on the Guide to Governance, and we will again be offering bulk discounts. Another National Office staff member that you will soon get to know is Kara Listenby. Our alumni and national leaders already know Kara, as she is the Director of Engagement and works to support various alumni engagement opportunities. Kara, would you like to share more?
Thanks, Ben. Although Mortarboard is a senior year honor society, membership extends beyond your senior year with opportunities for long-time engagement. As graduating seniors, you will soon hear more about a special program called Fusion, where you transition from being a collegiate member to an alumni member. You will also have the opportunity to take advantage of the Mortarboard Alumni Association. Opportunities for continued involvement include partner benefits, programming, access to other high-achieving members, and so much more. I'd like to point out that great suggestion that we heard earlier today about financial literacy. We in fact did have a financial literacy course last summer for our alumni and plan to continue that. So what a great idea. Glad that we offered that, glad to offer it again. The members of the Mortarboard Alumni Association, here are news first with special communications, including volunteer and service opportunities. They have special events like book clubs, socials, and so much more. I invite you to join us by signing up for the Mortarboard Alumni Association from the alumni page on our website or by contacting either myself or Francie directly. I'll pass it back to Kirsten.
Well, thank you, Kaylee, Katie, Ben, and Kara. And I am sure many of you are thinking, we are just in the first week of classes and they're already talking about end of the year recognition and graduation regalia and alumni engagement. I don't know about you, but I'm sure many of us wish we could pause time, but you're also all leaders. So I'm sure many of you like to plan ahead. So we did want to make sure you at least had an idea of what is to come. That being said, I have a few other exciting opportunities that you might want to consider as well. So as Kara mentioned, Mortarboard provides scholarship, leadership, and service opportunities beyond your college years. We have 2 national leadership opportunities for graduating members. So as you have probably seen from tonight's conversation, our alumni and our national leaders become a tight-knit group of mortarboards and have continued in their involvement. And so we've got some great ways for recent graduates to get involved right out of their college years. So first, we are accepting applications for the Conference Advisory Board, otherwise known as our CAB interns. And you might recognize, for those of you that were in Little Rock, 3 of our CABs. And I know at least Michaela is on the call right now, and Caitlin might also be here. But those are 3 of our 4 CABs from last summer. So while this year's conference will be virtual, it is still a great opportunity to be a leader among national leaders to plan the content and programs for the conference. Speaking of national conference, the dates are July 14th through 16th. Again, it will be virtual, and we will want you to be working with your incoming members really right after initiation to make sure your chapter is registered. So we will send more information out about that. But being a CAB is a great opportunity to not only work with some other graduating members, but just get to know next year's class. In addition, we will also be recruiting for our section coordinator position. So I know you all have a great affinity for your current section coordinators. This is our first year in our region model where we moved to 6 regions with 2 to 3 section coordinators each. We purposely started small with the hope to just kind of figure out exactly what the region model looks like. But the goal has been to have 3 to 4 section coordinators per region. And so that means we want to grow that position. So this is a great opportunity to stay involved, again, as a national leader, and then guide your chapters, not only your chapter, but other chapters in a region, and really set the direction for the future of our society as we are in the first part of our 2nd century. So a really great opportunity. We will put the links in the chat, but they are also in your guide to governance. And so again, I know that was a lot of information in a short period of time. As I saw patients put in the chat, spring goes really fast. So we did want to at least get it out there. But know you are also not alone as you move through your spring. And some of you are on semesters, some of you are on quarters, but either way, it's going to go fast. Your section coordinators, other national leadership, and our entire national office team are here to support you in all of your endeavors. And I can truly attest that your biggest supporter of all is your national president, Katie Chick. She is your biggest cheerleader, your biggest resource, and it is my pleasure to invite her back to the Zoom to provide tonight's final charge. Katie?
Thank you, Kirsten, and thank you to everyone who spoke at tonight's special national conference. It is so inspiring hearing the many voices of our alumni and collegiate members as we are together via Zoom. I thought about this a few moments ago, even nationally spread out on Zoom on a Sunday evening, every opportunity for mortar boards to gather create a sacred space for me, and I am so honored to be your national president. As I thought about what I would charge you with tonight, I know many of you are entering into one of the busiest but most exciting chapters of your life, your last semester in college. And so I encourage each of you to, as Kirsten said, slow down and pause for just a moment and think about what the next several months will look like. You are leaders, not only in mortar board, but in organizations all across your campuses, in your communities. You are juggling those responsibilities with internships, grad school applications, tests, job applications, and so many things. But this is your moment to really lean into a really special time in your life. And we are so happy that mortar board is a part of that journey and that you're here with us tonight as you kick off this semester. I recently finished my master's program in organizational leadership and created a capstone project where I said my 3 tenets of leadership for me are to listen, love, and lead. And that all started when I was mortar board chapter president at Hood College in 2006 and 2007, and it's continued on my journey. I believe it's important that we can listen to understand, and this semester will be a challenging time for each of you, and there will be moments where things are frustrating or not easy. So I encourage you to pause and listen and really get to know those members in your chapters who may be struggling and look to you for guidance. Be sure to practice this most important leadership skill because it sets you up for success. As a human resources professional, I can tell you the people that are most successful are ones who listen well. And listen to yourself, take care of yourself, invest in your own mental health, and ensure you're reaching out to resources. This is a stressful time in your life. but listening is so important, not only to others, but to yourself. Love other people, love your chapter members, get to know them on a personal level. Be sure to have fun, maybe bring food to your recruitment meetings and events, have social activities. I saw Michaela saying she keeps up in touch with her CAB members over Zoom. Make sure to make time for fun and to show that love to others on campus. You are the one who sets the tone for your campus. And so embrace your traditions and really live in the moment there. And Mortar Board creates an opportunity that's unique to lead because you're leading among other leaders. You know this, and we talked about this at the national conference, but take note of the leadership strength of your chapter and those around you. It is an incredible gift that you don't get every day and you don't get all forever. And so enjoy that moment, learn from other leaders in your chapter, and continue to hone your own leadership skills. Nathan said what I also wanted to say, which is it is your opportunity to carry the torch on your chapter. And so I just encourage you to hide the torch, to stay involved in Mortar Board locally and nationally, and to really enjoy the rest of this year. Thank you for spending your Sunday evening with us, for representing your chapter, for making your voice heard and voting for our slate of National Council members. I look forward to seeing you at our next event. And